Right now, without deciding to, your legs are doing math. You are not thinking about it. You are reading this sentence, maybe sitting down, maybe walking to the kitchen. But somewhere below your ribs, a circuit is quietly counting rhythm, timing, tension, ready to fire the moment your feet touch the ground. You didn't build that circuit, you inherited it. And it is older than legs. 400 million years ago, there were no legs anywhere on Earth. No arms, no fingers, just water and things swimming through it. One of those things was a fish, roughly the size of your forearm, with a flat crocodile-like head and fins that were structurally a little strange. Thicker, boned in a way that looked almost like a wrist. Its name, when scientists finally pulled its fossil out of the Canadian Arctic in 2004, became Tiktaalik. And the reason paleontologist Neil Shubin spent years searching that exact patch of ancient riverbed was not luck. He predicted it. He knew that rock of a certain age formed in a certain kind of ancient river system should hold a certain kind of transitional animal. He was right. Tiktaalik had gills, but it also had the beginnings of a neck. It had fins, but inside them were bones that lined up one-to-one with the bones in your own arm, a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist. You are looking at your own hand right now structurally when you look at that fossil. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you in the good way. The bones weren't the only thing that carried forward. The wiring did too. Deep in your spinal cord, below your conscious awareness, sit clusters of neurons called central pattern generators. You don't have to think about them, which is exactly the point. They fire in rhythmic, alternating bursts left, right, and that rhythm is what actually produces walking. Your brain doesn't choreograph every footstep. It just says go, and the spinal circuit handles the rest. Neuroscientist Sten Grillner, working at the Karolinska Institute, spent decades tracing where this rhythm actually comes from. He studied it first in lampreys, an ancient, jawless, eel-like fish that has barely changed in body plan for hundreds of millions of years. And he found the same alternating rhythmic firing pattern in a lamprey's spinal cord that produces swimming. Not a similar pattern, the same underlying circuit architecture conserved and reused. The neurons that once told a fish's body to whip side to side through water are, in you, the neurons that swing your left leg forward while your right leg plants down. Evolution didn't invent walking from nothing. It took a swimming circuit and repurposed it, tuned it, bent it toward a new job, but kept the ancient wiring underneath. So when you walk to your car this morning, a 400-million-year-old rhythm is running your legs. Does that feel like a coincidence? It shouldn't, it's a fingerprint. Here's how strange this gets when you look closer. If you cut the connection between a lamprey's spinal cord and its brain entirely, the spinal cord will still produce a perfect swimming rhythm on its own, alternating and steady with no brain attached at all. The brain isn't running the show. It's more like a passenger who occasionally leans over and says turn left, speed up, stop. The rhythm itself belongs to something older and lower down, something that doesn't need permission to keep going. You carry that same arrangement. People with certain spinal cord injuries cut off from their brain's motor commands can sometimes still be coaxed into stepping motions on a treadmill, their legs alternating in that same ancient rhythm even though the message to walk was never sent from above. The circuit is still down there, waiting, patient, doing what it has always done with or without instructions. Let's zoom for a second because this is the kind of fact that only makes sense at the right scale. Shrink yourself down past your skin, past your muscle, into the pale corridor of your own spinal cord. It's dark in there and quiet and threaded through with neurons stacked like circuitry in a wall. Follow that circuitry back not through years but through geologic time, past your birth. Past your parents and their parents and every parent before that, stretching backward through mammals, through the first furred things scurrying under dinosaur feet, through reptiles, through amphibians dragging themselves onto muddy banks for the first time. All the way back to something like Tiktaalik, half fish, half something else, testing out a shallow river with a limb that wasn't quite a fin anymore. Now zoom back out, back into the room you're sitting in, back into your own body in real time today. That circuit never got deleted. It got inherited, edited, reused. You are not separate from that fish, you are its most recent draft. This is where it gets personal because it isn't only your legs. There's a nerve in your neck and chest called the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and it does something absurd if you trace its path. It runs down from your brain, loops all the way down around a major blood vessel near your heart, and then travels back up to your voice box, just inches from where it started. In a giraffe, that same nerve takes a detour of over 4 meters for a trip that should take centimeters. Why would a nerve do that? Because in a fish, that nerve's ancestor ran a short, sensible route past a gill arch. As necks got longer and hearts moved lower over millions of years, evolution didn't reroute the nerve. It just stretched the same old wiring further and further, generation after generation, because there was never a version of you that could afford to skip a step and redesign it from scratch. Evolution doesn't get to start over. It only gets to edit what already exists. And the gill arches themselves didn't just vanish either. They got repurposed too. The same embryonic tissue that once framed a fish's gills is, in you, quietly folded into the tiny bones of your middle ear, the ones that let you hear this sentence right now. Anatomists tracking vertebrate development have followed this same handful of tissue blocks, called pharyngeal arches, through fish, through amphibians, through reptiles, and into mammals, watching them get reshaped generation after generation into jaws, then into the smallest bones in the human body. Structures built for breathing underwater ended up, millions of years later, letting you hear a voice in a quiet room. Your body is not a clean blueprint. It's a heavily annotated one, full of leftover instructions nobody bothered to delete because they still technically work. And the water itself never fully let go of you either. Splash cold water on an infant's face, or lower a baby gently toward a pool and something automatic takes over. Breathing pauses, heart rate drops. The body braces itself in a way that looks almost like it's preparing to submerge on purpose. Physiologists studying this response, often called the mammalian diving reflex, have found it strongest in the first months of life, then quieter as a child grows, though a faint version of it lingers into adulthood, which is part of why plunging your face into cold water can slow a racing heart even now. It's the same underlying trick every diving mammal uses, from whales to seals, tuned down and mostly retired in you, but never fully deleted from the manual. Your body kept the setting just in case. So here's the so what. Every time you flinch before you consciously register danger, every time your legs catch you mid-stumble before you've had a single thought about it, every time you swim and your body seems to remember a rhythm you never taught it, that is not some poetic metaphor about our animal nature. That is a literal physical circuit, tracing back through hundreds of millions of years of ancestors, still installed and still running in your spinal cord today. You are not descended from fish in some distant, symbolic sense. You are currently operating hardware that a fish helped design. And it's not just backup wiring, it's core infrastructure. It's why a newborn baby held upright with its feet just touching a surface will make stepping motions before it can even hold up its own head. It hasn't learned to walk. It can't have. It has no muscle strength for it, no practice, no memory of ever trying. But the rhythm is already there, preloaded, waiting for legs strong enough to use it. Researchers studying infant reflexes have documented this stepping response for decades, watching the pattern appear reliably in babies only days old, then fade from view once voluntary walking takes over, as if the ancient circuit simply steps back and lets the newer system practice. You didn't learn to walk from nothing. You woke up already knowing the beat. You just needed a body that could keep time. Think about what that means for how in control you actually feel day to day. You like to imagine yourself as a single, deliberate author deciding every movement on purpose. But underneath that story, there's a much older co-author, one who has been writing rhythm into vertebrate bodies since long before anything resembling a human brain existed. It doesn't ask you first. It doesn't need to. Consider how little of your day is actually invented by you in the moment from scratch: your gait, your breathing. The way your arms swing opposite your legs when you walk, another pattern researchers have traced back to the same alternating spinal wiring, tuned over millions of years to keep a moving body balanced. None of it was designed for the version of you living now, the one worrying about deadlines, scrolling a phone, walking across a parking lot. It was designed, slowly and without any designer at all, for something swimming through shallow water long before there was a parking lot, or a phone, or you to worry about anything at all. And yet it still fits. That's the quietly remarkable part. A 400-million-year-old rhythm, built for an entirely different body in an entirely different world, still slots perfectly into the life you're living today. There's something almost tender about that if you let it land. Every step you've ever taken, every staircase, every late-night walk to the fridge, every sprint for a bus, has been quietly co-written by an animal that died hundreds of millions of years before the first human ever existed. It never got a name, it never knew it mattered. It never knew anything at all in the way you know things, but its rhythm outlived continents. It outlived ice ages. It outlived species after species after species, riding forward inside newer and newer bodies, patiently waiting for legs. It found you. So tonight, when you walk across a room without thinking, without calculating a single joint angle or muscle contraction, notice it. Not the walking, the rhythm underneath the walking. That's not just you. That's a fish still swimming, 400 million years deep inside your spine, carrying you home.